That's perfect now, Chris.
Is that okay, Mike? Yeah?
Yeah, all good.
Excellent. Okay. Shall we kick off? I think the numbers are slowly climbing up. Yeah, let's just kick off now.
Brilliant.
Perfect. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And thanks for joining today's webinar. Just as a quick introduction, I am Chris Dolan. I'm a BDM for the Morningstar platform and also investment management, and I cover the London and South East region. We also have Mike Langton on the call today. He's our regional head of the international platform, and he's based out of Jersey.
Hello.
On today's webinar, we will be taking a deep dive into what we at Morningstar Wealth can do to support advisors, specifically those with US connected clients. So a quick run through of the agenda. I'm going to give an introduction as to Morningstar Wealth and chat through how advisors can leverage from partnering with us. I'll then pass to Mike, who will cover our Morningstar US Investor Service and why there's never been a better time to consider using our US platform. It's then back to me. I'll look at our award-winning platform technology and what we're focusing on to continuously improve the functionality for advisors and clients alike. And finally, we'll then run through some of the platform USPs, and I'll explain what makes us different to other platforms out in the market. And just to say, I'm sure you'll have questions, so please do ask these throughout. There should be a chat box that you can pop any questions in, and then Mike and I will answer these towards the end of the session. Okay, so a quick introduction as to who we are and what we do at Morningstar Wealth. First thing to say is that when you work with Morningstar Wealth, you really leverage learnings from advisors across the globe. And you do this in two ways. Firstly, our products and services incorporate everything that we've learned from over 255,000 advisors across the globe. And secondly, you get access to that community of advisors through our events and also our content. And we really understand advisors and their clients, and this is demonstrated by our AUM, which you can see on screen, and also the number of advisors that have chosen to partner with Morningstar. And advisors and clients are served by local and global teams, and partnering with Morningstar gives you access to the likes of technology experts, behavioral scientists, advisor client service specialists, but most importantly, a safe pair of hands for your clients' investments. So let's now take a look at our product suite and the three pillars that form Morningstar Wealth. Firstly, our UK, international, and US platform. And from the way the platform trades through to the ability to blend multiple model portfolios and funds within the one wrapper, our niche as a platform is that we truly are a discretionary platform. And of course, today we're going to be focusing mainly on the US platform, but it is also worthwhile noting that the user experience and the technology, it's consistent across all of our platform offerings. We also have our hugely popular managed portfolio and multi-asset fund solutions. Our MPS is available across 19 platforms, including our own UK and international platform. But for this session specifically, it is actually worthwhile noting that they're not available on the US platform. Mike is going to cover the US compliant MPS provider shortly. And finally, we've got our advisor practice technology, which is known as Wealthcraft, which is our own advisor back office system, and risk profiling from the Morningstar-owned Finametrica. And these are three fantastic solutions. And it's important to call out that they all use technology which has been engineered by us at Morningstar. So how do we actually support your practice? Well, this is what we do differently, and I think personally one of the reasons we stand out from the crowd. We really want you to think of Morningstar Wealth as a business partner, not just a platform. And in fact, we support you across your entire practice. And the heart of this, our advisor service program, which you can see on screen, are the sort of regular feedback loops that we've created. And starting from the core of this slide, we view service as being the #1 priority for any advisor choosing their preferred platform. And for that reason, every single advisor that signs up to us is allocated a dedicated Morningstar service pod. What does this mean in practice? Well, basically, it's a team of people to help you from platform onboarding and submitting your first case, all the way through to the ongoing servicing of your clients' investments. And what we hear within these service pods that we've created, that then directly influences the content, the tools, and the resources that we produce for you as advisors. And moving outwards on this slide, we also give all our advisor firms access to our Morningstar Advisor Hub, where you can access loads of client-friendly content. And I'm going to cover that in the next slide. And just finally, just to round off this part here, partnering with us actually also means you get access to internal and external thought leaders from across the globe. We've got a program of events and engagements throughout the year, including CPD events. They're available on demand, webinars, podcasts, and even our annual study tour, which takes place in and around our global head office in Chicago. So here is our newly launched Advisor Hub. This is a fantastic new service offering, which is exclusively available for Morningstar Wealth users only. As I've mentioned, there's on-demand CPD, there's behavioral coaching support, and there's lots more in there with no cost to you as advisors. And I think it's fair to say that this is the support that you need and when you need it most. For example, what we're hearing most at the moment is there's a lot of questions around the upcoming budget. And we responded to this just in September by partnering with a tax expert to create a pre-budget roundup. We'll also deliver an advisor to client email template or Dear Client letter within 24 hours of the upcoming budget, and a deep dive advisor webinar a couple of weeks later, once, of course, we have all the details. And I also mentioned behavioral science in the opening slide. Just to quickly touch on that, at Morningstar, we don't just give you a research paper. In fact, every piece of research that we undertake, we want you to be able to actually do something with it and practically benefit from it within your business. So all the research comes with either a tool or an exercise, which is typically created by our head of behavioral science, Ryan Murphy, and his team, to then implement that research within your practice or with your clients. And just some more examples. I'm not going to spend much time on this part here, but just some more examples of the internal specialists and external experts that we work with, and they've all been involved at either recent events or webinars that we've run. And these include the likes of Catalyst Partners, who specialize in improving your business value. We've worked with the team at Technical Connections, they're actually currently supporting us with our face-to-face events, and that's around tax and regulation, and also the likes of the Langcat, who help provide invaluable industry insights. So
Sorry, Chris, quickly, the Langcat just recently put a article out for the US service, and that will be available on the Advisor Hub. So keep an eye out for that, because it's a really good piece of research. Sorry to jump in there, Chris.
Great, thanks, Mike. Yeah, so just to round off the intro, in fact, I'm going to pass straight back to you, just to say that Morningstar Wealth, we're clearly, uniquely positioned to provide you with the insights and the tools that you need to focus on your clients whilst running your business. And we really specialize on doing the heavy lifting. So Mike, I'm going to now pass back over to you, and you're now going to go obviously work through the key call outs around our US platform.
Thank you, Chris. And just to echo your kind of message at the start, thank you everyone for taking the time out of your busy schedule. It's much appreciated. So quick introduction, my name is Michael Langton, Regional Head for the International Platform. I also sit as a responsible officer for our IRS relationship. So for the next 5 or so minutes, just want to take you through the proposition. And we're, as Chris mentioned, happy to take questions afterwards. Next slide, please, Chris. So Morningstar Wealth International Limited have been working with US investors since the changes to FATCA legislation through our qualified intermediary status with the IRS. So over the last 10 years, we've been designing a solution which has helped hundreds of advisors and thousands of investors to continue to manage their products and investments whilst remaining compliant with the IRS investment and reporting requirements. We've been committed to providing a solution for US taxpayers for well over a decade, and it does provide a really great solution for those advisors that are potentially facing uncertainty currently with the current homes for their US taxpayer clients. Next slide, please, Chris. The solution itself is very similar to how you would approach the advice process to any other individual. So whilst there are a few things to be aware of, the main point is around the restriction in what can be invested in. So PFICs, or passive foreign investment companies, can attract complex and punitive tax environments for US investors. And these are typically non-US mutual funds and non-US ETFs, and they tend to make up the majority of a UK MPS or multi-asset fund structure. So engaging with your US investors outside of this underlying investment restriction is actually very straightforward. And standard advice practices with products like GIAs, ISAs, SIPs, all form part of that solution. So we work with a number of DFMs, and they provide specialist MPS solutions, so you don't need to worry about the underlying investments. Morningstar Wealth then perform the annual reporting requirements. So essentially you're outsourcing the complex parts of the solution, and it allows you to spend the time with the investor and provide them with the great service and all other advice needs. We are an international platform solution, so we do work with advisors and investors in many jurisdictions. Next slide, please, Chris. The reporting, as you can see on the screen, is a 1099 form, and this is submitted to the IRS on behalf of the investor each year, and a copy is also sent to the investor via our investor portal. We also complete the 1042 reporting, which is also submitted directly to the IRS, and that completes the reporting requirements of our US taxpayer service for the accounts held on platform. So we charge a nominal fee of £195. And you can see a snip of that report on the screen. Next slide, please, Chris. The platform fees are also competitively priced and include a custody fee of 35 basis points or 0.35% that does tier down based on account size. That's charged annually, and there are also transaction charges on the buys and sells of the underlying assets within the portfolios. So the DFM solutions we work with do have a range of minimum account sizes in place. So that's it is there to stop it being cost prohibitive through transaction charges. So there's quite a number of assets that are held within each model. And that's required for kind of diversification within the different risk buckets and different tax wrapper MPS structures, mainly using equities and fixed income. And those MPS structures that tend to use ETFs can be used for smaller account sizes and smaller portfolios, but all of the portfolios are designed for all US investors, and we're happy to share details on those. Next slide, please, Chris. So we've created something called a generic service to keep the solution as simple as possible. It contains the 4 DFMs that you can see on the screen, which form the investment proposition. And each of these managers run SEC recognized portfolios, and they do so across a range of currencies, tax wrappers, including ISAs. And this is the best way to access the US proposition on Morningstar Wealth. If you do want to discuss more of a bespoke solution, please feel free to get in touch. We tend to guide as many people down this generic service as possible to keep it as simple as possible, but happy to explore other options. So that's it from me. Thank you again for the time. As Chris mentioned, there's time at the end for questions. More than happy to take any questions you've got. And there's also a QR code, which will take you to a contacts page. So feel free to get in touch via that. Over to you again, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So now that we've covered the USPs specifically of our US platform, I thought it's worthwhile also taking a look at the inner workings of our platform technology, which you can access if you have the US connected clients, and also what we're doing to continuously improve its functionality. So kind of calling out some of our USPs, I worked through these from the sort of left to right. The first thing to say, and I've mentioned it briefly, is that we are a discretionary specialist. We are built for advisor firms who have outsourced to using MPS, and some of which the providers that Mike mentioned on a previous slide. We also own our own technology, and this is absolutely fundamental to who we are as a platform. And I'm probably going to repeat this on numerous times before the end of this webinar today. But it's important to say that we build, develop, and maintain our own systems, and we don't outsource our back office tech like a lot of other platforms. We're also not PE backed, so there's no sort of horrors of replatforming that's coming over the hill. Mike's mentioned it already, so we do have the US generic service, but we do also offer a white labeled service depending on the opportunity size. And this white label service can include your company logo, images from your company website, color schemes, and that can all be built in to almost create your own bespoke platform service. And this pulls through not only when you're logged in as an advisor, but it's also an opportunity to promote your brand with your clients, because it also pulls through to the client portal, including client documentation, etc. too. In terms of portals, I've mentioned it, you've got the advisor portal, you also have the investor portal. Both are fully accessible 24/7 and they work on any device, so they're fully compatible. And Mike's touched on this already, so I'm not just going to repeat, but the US platform and the investment managers, they're fully US compliant. And finally, service, I've mentioned it as well, but it's a key selling point of partnering with Morningstar Wealth. So I mentioned that we're a discretionary specialist platform, and I just wanted to explain this, in a bit more detail. With Morningstar, there's no requirement for quarterly rebalancing to bring your clients back in line with their models. Instead, model weightings float with the market until you or the DFM makes a change to the model the clients are invested in. Clients are aligned with the manager's strategy as it stands on that day. So it's not a static asset allocation that's set each month or even each quarter. The benefit of working this way compared to some other platforms in the industry is that you as an advisor know that all your clients that hold the same model portfolio are going to have a similar investment journey. This makes your life easier and it simplifies client conversations. So let's now take a look at what we mean by continuous discovery and what we're currently working on and developing to further improve the Morningstar platform. First thing to call out is that continuous discovery is in our DNA. We spend over 500 hours each year in customer discovery to deeply understand our customers' workflows, pain points, and opportunities. And these conversations, it's not a sort of one and done approach. We continually listen, learn, and develop, capturing critical insights to continually challenge our overall proposition. And delivering a change is only part of the equation for us. Continually measuring the impacts of those changes, hand in hand with our users, it helps make sure that we are solving the right problems in the right way. And in an ever-changing and evolving industry, this approach means that we can be nimble whilst ensuring that our product continues to make the lives of our clients and customers much easier. And I just wanted to show you our roadmap for 2025. I'm conscious that we're already in October, but I didn't bring this up to go through every single item because I'm sure that most people that have joined the webinar today have seen tech roadmaps from platforms in the past, and quite often they're not even worth the paper they're written on. The reason I've brought it up is just the evidence that, or basically to show you that everything that we've said that we were going to deliver in 2025, we have actually delivered. And I think that's really, really important, is that we've got the commitment and we've actually got the delivery to back that up. But our dynamic roadmap, it follows a rolling approach. And this means that sort of confidence levels varies depending on the timeline. And this is where flexibility is essential. And we view flexibility and agility as a real strength as a platform because it allows us to deliver meaningful improvements at the right time. We're always looking on or sort of focusing on the highest impact changes for clients and advisors. And you'll also see on screen within the roadmap that a mobile app is something that we're currently looking at, and it's something that we're hoping to have rolled out over the coming months. So we see ourselves as being a disruptor in the market, and this is evidenced by the industry recognition that we've received just over recent months. And again, I'm not going to work through every single award that we've been recognized for, but just a few call outs. The first is that we won Best Digital Proposition for Continuous Discovery, and that was at the International Advisor Global Financial Services Awards. And we were also shortlisted for 6 awards at Money Marketing, Money Age, and the Schroders UK Platform Awards, including Platform of the Year. So that's me. As I've said, just gave a bit of an overview in terms of who we are at Morningstar Wealth, what's important to us, and what benefits you can get from partnering with us. Mike has covered the US platform in more detail. And of course, I've then looked at the continuous discovery and what's on the horizon for the platform, both UK, international, and US. Mike, I can't see the chat, unfortunately, but do we have any questions?
We do. We've got a few questions that have rolled in. If anybody wants to ask any more questions, there's a Q&A button at the bottom panel of your Zoom screen, so feel free to send them across. We've got a few questions in here around the US proposition, which is great to see. Nigel's asked, does the US platform handle LISAs? Unfortunately not. No, we don't have a LISA on the international platform, so we can't offer the LISA for the US proposition, which sits on the international platform. We have another question from Anonymous. Can you confirm the fees involved regarding to the platform, DFM and reporting? So we've been through the platform. We've looked at the reporting costs. There is a cost associated to the DFM. So there'll be kind of the OCF charges and the DFM charges applied by the DFM themselves. We can share that documentation with you. We've got lots of information that we can share in terms of how those costs are broken down. But in terms of the platform, with 35 basis points for custody and execution, there's transaction charges on the buys and sells, and we have the reporting costs, but we can share that if you get in touch. Another question from Melissa to say, is there a minimum account size or AUM for starting out? That's a really good question. We would typically look at it from a holistic perspective. So we're not saying, oh, you've got one account, so we don't want to work with you. It's more to look at learning a new platform from your perspective as an advisor takes quite a bit of work and effort. So if you've just got one small account, it might not be worth your while. There is no minimums in place, but we're happy to talk through any of those opportunities and how we can kind of support you with your US taxpayers. I've got a question here around the investments covered by the FSCS. So we're not a UK-based custodian. We're in Jersey. There is a bank deposit scheme in Jersey, which works in a slightly similar way, but we're not covered by the FSCS, which is a UK's kind of protection. We're happy to send the slides across Somebody's asked if we can share the slides. So if you get in touch, because it's anonymous, we'll get the slides across to you. How do you onboard a client? Sorry, it's moving around, so I'm just trying to see where we are. How do you onboard a client on the US platform? Do we need a separate login to the UK platform? Great question, Richard. Yes, you do. So we'll need to set up separate terms with the international business. It's not a difficult process. Again, it will involve getting in touch, but we'll get you set up with terms for Will, which is the international version of the platform. And from there, we can get you set up on the US platform. I will take one more question, and we'll try and cover all of these other questions offline. Can the platform facilitate initial and ongoing fees? Another anonymous question, but a very good one. Yes, absolutely. It would work in the same way that any kind of other platform solution you'd work, where you will have your initial fee that you'll apply on the monies that are being invested, and then you can apply an ongoing fee on top of that on each account. I think we'll leave it there from a question perspective. There's still loads rolling in, but we'll get as many of these answered as possible. Please do kind of reach out to us, use the contact page, which Chris will go to now.
Yeah, here we go.
There we go. Perfect. There's also a survey. There's a few questions in the survey that will be asking about content that you'd like to hear within our sessions that are running in the Morningstar Investment Conference in May next year. So we'd really appreciate that feedback. It really helps us populate those sessions and design it in a way that adds as much value as possible. So please do fill in the questionnaire. The QR code has got a link to our contact page. We'll be able to take all those questions away and answer them. Thank you from me. Much appreciated. And
yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll be in touch soon. And thanks, Mike, for leading the questions. Appreciate it.
Lovely, brilliant.